So, if you have a fear of being perceived or seen and whatnot, welcome to the club. I'm making this, and I'm one of those people who also lives with that fear, but has learned to flip it and reverse it. Get out of that parking spot and go cool places. Because here's the thing, there's just too much on the line. Not only is your self expression connected to being perceived and being seen, opportunities, okay? We're talking jobs, bay or boo. There's a lot riding on you overcoming that fear of being seen or perceived. And there are infinite levels to it. So by the end of this pod, we're going to reverse that fear and get you stepping into the icon energy. That is yours. That is yours to claim, because first of all, if you're new here, welcome. How you doing? My name is Travis, and this is the Percy Ponders podcast / channel where sensitive and thoughtful e-cousins, we do hard things, life and love and whatnot, together as such. So I've got to start it like this. And I have a few points, and they get better and better, so stick around for all of them. The fear of being seen, I'm sorry, it's self-indulgent. I mean, think about it. If you were to ask the average human on the planet, hey, what do you think like the greatest human fear is? I don't know, before TikTok, it was like, oh, we're afraid of flying. Oh, we're afraid of dying. We're afraid of spiders. Okay, like valid stuff. And in the age of the internet, I don't know if the Gallup poll and all the Pew studies have caught up with this, but I'd wager to say one of the greatest human fears of individuals who are semi or chronically online, the greatest fear is being seen, being perceived, and the social judgment connected to that. But what I've learned on the heels of overcoming this fear, to show up, to build business online, to be a performing artist who's gotten to go on tour with artists I respect and admire, to coaching people who are in seasons of reinvention and transition, resources down in the comments about that, right? I have learned that my fear of being seen, my fear of being perceived was very self-indulgent, deeply, because it assumes that people who show up and are willing to be seen, they don't have that fear. And it's like, no, we just have something bigger drawing us forward. We have bills motivating us to show up. We know that we have something to offer to help somebody feel less alone in whatever they're going through. We know that generational wealth, right, or breaking generational cycles for some of us might be connected to showing up in ways that feel uncomfortable. So on the weekly, I have to check with my nervous system and be like, hey guy, you all right? No, you're not all right. That's all right. We're going to be all right. What can we do to get you to a place of feeling okay, right? So you learn to tolerate the discomfort of being seen and being witnessed by people who are going to judge you no matter what, misunderstand you no matter what. You learn to do it because something bigger is drawing you forward than any worry or care about what they gonna say. Because people gonna talk. They gonna talk about you irregardless. That's African American vernacular for individuals who are new here and don't know I'm an African American individual. Let me tell you this story. And it's connected to the second point. So when it comes to making peace with the fear of being seen and stepping out to be seen, whether you have content to share, a business to promote, or you just want to express yourself more on the internet or in life, period, because this is online and offline, fear of being seen, right? When it comes to facing this fear, you have to make peace with knowing, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? And how could I survive it? That's big. That's like, guys, we got to really lean into that one. That is big stuff right there. What's the worst thing that could happen, honestly? What? They screenshot your stories and talk smack about you in the group chat? That's happened to me, right? The word got back. They're like, they think you're weird. You're quirky. Thanks. Okay. Guess I'm doing something right. And you all don't have much happening in your life that you have to talk about my Instagram stories as I'm trying to build my little brand and business online. What's the worst that could happen? Your crush thinks you're weird because they see you have some random hobby online connecting garden gnomes. Okay, well, congrats. Now we know sooner rather than later that that wasn't your person, right? What's the fear? What, that you'll be seen trying and failing by mostly people who are afraid to try or fail publicly, but will happily sit back and lurk in your stories and not like any of your content, right? What's the fear? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen when it comes to being judged by people who you mostly don't want to be like, right? We got to really nip this fear of being seen in the bud and expose it for the fraud that it is, expose it for the distraction that it is, that's diverting you from your purpose. You know what I'm saying? What really helped me to practice this was a mix of not just online, but offline. So back in the fall of 2023, I was living in New York City, okay? And your boy moved there, was in a relationship at the time, and your boy got laid off from his job of many years at a media company where I was heading up learning and development and all that sort of stuff. And it took me by surprise because I was a good employee, okay? But it was a reduction in workforce, okay? But guess what? Bills are still due. Okay, and so now we're encroaching into this iconic arena called more month than money, right? The bills keep being due, especially like the private student loans, even though our bi-weekly direct deposit stopped. Okay, that's great. Love that. So what do? Well, this was one of my first big time tests in the art of facing the fear of being perceived, cousins. Because what did your boy do? In that moment, I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for new jobs. I have some stuff cooking with the internet and whatnot, but it's not a job yet. I'm not coaching people yet. I don't have enough reach online to make this a business. So that wasn't really an option. So what did I do? I took the skill sets I had in that moment and said, how do we put money in the bank today without stripping? I'm not going to do that because I feel like I talk too much if I did that. You know what I mean? They'd be like, why are you talking about Tolstoy and like roots? We just want to see. No. So anyway, what I did instead, I went to Central Park. I set up my speaker, my microphone, my boom mic stand. All right. And I performed. I played guitar and I sang. I'm also a musician. I have music on Spotify, Travis Percy. Okay. And when I tell you, every fiber of my being said, don't do it. You're going to look dumb performing in Central Park. They're going to think you're weird. That is a disruption of the peace. That looks desperate to invite people to patronize, pay you for your work in public. But guess what? I did it. I faced the worst case scenario of myself looking cringe, of being perceived in a very public way where rejection was imminent. And guess what? Some people walked right by me, did not give a care in the world, even though I was doing some of the best singing and playing of my life. And guess what? A number of other people stopped and enjoyed it. And guess what? Your boy made over $200 in 1 hour performing songs in Central Park. Okay? More money than I made in any allegedly prestigious corporate job up until that date and time. So what does that show? Okay? There is so much cool stuff connected to being seen, risking being perceived, risking some people saying, not my cup of tea, and other people saying, heck yeah, I want more of that. There's so much opportunity for you. I had e-cousins writing into me the other day talking about how they started posting TikToks, they start showing up more, and now they have event companies. They have opportunities coming in for their event company. You know, like, this is big stuff. There's opportunity. There's exposure. There is a new level of I don't give a fuck and self-assurance connected to risking being seen and perceived, even if you're not doing it for money. Which brings me to the third point. I cannot skip out on e-cousins. Embrace the cringe. In fact, love the cringe. Love the cringe. Cringe is the new cool. If I'm being honest, I feel cringe when I post multiple podcast clips a week on my Instagram. I feel cringe even to this day when I make videos that or post online that don't really land and I'm just talking to myself. That's all right. That's all right. Get 2 likes. The algorithm will forever humble you no matter how many followers you amass online. And that's all right. Certain things don't land. And I don't say that to say I really feel cringe in all those instances, but I say that to say you could feel cringe about a lot of things that would paint you in a vulnerable light that makes you open to scrutiny, that makes you open to rejection, that makes you open to being misunderstood. And that's why a lot of people don't risk that fear being seen and perceived for who they really are. Because what's scarier, more scary, however you put it, than being rejected for who you really are, right? And that's why we wear the masks, right? We wear the masks because that's easier than be like, hey, what's good, world? This is who I am. I'm saying 10 toes down business on who I am. You know what I mean? It's frightening. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Travis, it's easy for you because you just do your thing, but like my coworkers can't see me. Block them, mute them. Oh, well, I don't, my friends, they won't like it. Well, are they really your friends if they don't support? Right? Well, my crush, we already mentioned that whoever you'd entertain romantically should like your authentic self, who should support you, right? That if they aren't supporting you, they are stifling you when it comes to dating. Underscore, emphasize, italicize, and bold that. If they are not supporting you, they're stifling you. It goes for friends, lovers, right? It's not to say everyone has to like you, but people in your innermost circle should be supporting you to some extent, especially your partner. And that's why I know I'm happily doing my thing en route to whenever I meet my person who makes sharing that journey worthwhile. Because there are too many insecure individuals out there who will try to drag you down, who will try to nag you and say mean things about you, who will just derail you from your purpose. And if I'm being honest, there are so too many gifted and talented people who have let a man or a woman derail them from their purpose in the name of some mediocre love. And to that we say no thanks. Which brings us to another thing here. There is so much value and visibility, e-cousins. So much unfathomable value in e-cousins. In invisibility. There really is. Do you know how many cool speaking and facilitation opportunities, podcast gigs, clients, you name it, new friends have found me on the heels of creating content? And that's ahead of the business stuff like brand deals and other stuff that's just starting to really find me as I've grown in the past year on Instagram from like 2,000 to over 30,000 and growing on YouTube, other platforms, right? It is so cool. The opportunities, the aligned people, the aligned community that can find you on the heels of risking being seen for who you really are, right? And it's like, I'd known that sooner. I would have only told my younger self, be all of you as soon as you can, because it's the quickest way for your people to find you. Even though it's scary, even though you might risk alienating people who you thought were your people, who turns out aren't your people when you come out to be all that you are, even if it means you risk losing friends who only liked you small, not embodied and confident and shining, right? Trust that when that one door closes and you walk that narrow hallway from that door to the next one that opens, what's behind that next door that opens is going to be so much more for you than what was against you where you left in that dusty and wayward and no thanks environment. You know what I'm saying? If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. There are more resources down in the caption. I want to hear your experience with facing this fear of being seen. Because like I'm saying, there's so much for you on the other side of it. And the next question is, what little thing can you do? Maybe it's not social media for you. Maybe it's something in real life, right? Maybe it's stepping into some more leadership on your job. Maybe it's performing in a new way or performing again for the first time in a long time. Maybe it's not trying to be an influencer. Maybe it's just trying to be less self-conscious about how you put yourself out there online. And that could be a slow, cool gateway to something special. Who knows? Again, this is Percy Ponders. We'll talk soon. Send this to friends. Resources on the cool coaching program we have down below for folks in seasons of reinvention, transition, elevation, specifically for heart-centered visionaries. And peace.